Something I think that was definitely overlooked this past weekend because so much news was going on with this brand new game brought to us by Riot Games and Tencent, that being Valorant. I'm sure many of you now heard the name of that, and a huge story as well because we have many pro players out there already announcing their start of their Valorant hype up, and we already have even a few people out there already calling them Valorant pros. We'll have a video on that probably in the future, but this one's certainly a huge talking point, especially for CSGO fans because it's all about Braxton Pierce. If you guys don't know Swag, a former CSGO match fixer of the notorious iBuyPower squad, unfortunately enough condemning many pro players who what has now been a 5+ year sentence from the game of CSGO and the majors, plus a few other events, the biggest one being, you know, the likes of a Dota International, the Fortnite World Cup, of course, League of Legends World Championships. That's what CSGO majors are, and now for over 5 years, because of a small match-fixing incident in which every player who actually did this was bound to make a couple hundred, maybe a bit more than that, bucks from it. They have now been banned entirely from CSGO majors for over 5 years. Braxton was one of them, and given recent hints as well, I am super excited to announce and share with all of you, which he has now several days back, he will be switching from CSGO, retiring for the time being from CSGO to join the Valorant hype and to go pro in that game instead. And if there's one player out there who I would just love to support, you know, more than anyone else, it would be a guy like Swag, especially the turmoil he's been sent through, the likes of his teammate Steel as well, the two most active CSGO members who were actually banned over 5 years ago and still trying to compete to this day. Steel certainly has his run, or had his run as well, when it comes time for the struggles of being on a squad who was actually capable of maybe making a major qualifier run, and he could not compete. Thus, his team unfortunately failed to do so. Swag has also had his own instances with teams who probably removed him because he's not major applicable and he just can't play, so why be signed? And especially given, I would say, last week or sometime recently as well, when Swag had his tweet about his own mental struggles. This is an incredibly touching story for a guy who is still so young and so talented when it comes to the FPS genre, who I do believe has a chance to make it if Valorant does take off as it should. And it's honestly the likes of him that makes me hope the game does do well. Obviously, we do esports news here. I would love for another esport to join up and actually become a top-tier esport and provide for a lot of pro players, a competitive scene as well. But certainly, with a guy like Swag relying on it, I have to cheer for him and the game itself all the more because this is a touching story. A guy who has been through the ringer, who has been through the struggles, and is now retired from the game he grew up playing, from the game he loved, and from the game who took it all away from him at the ripe age of 18 for a single choice he made, which I still do think that makes it hurt all the more. And so we do have our first official announcements out there. Pasha Biceps also joining the hype. I actually have a dedicated video on this channel about a dozen or so players, probably many more now, announcing their start of a campaign to go pro in Valorant. And it's going to be very, very weird to see where this goes. And I do hope it goes somewhere for guys like Swag. It's just a crazy time that, you know, where I started in CSGO and covering Swag, and now we are now, I will be covering him, hopefully, if all goes well, in a completely different game. Braxton Pierce, aka Swag, after 5+ years of battling this match-fixing ban in CSGO, is now retired, semi-retired, I should say, for a brand new esport. Will you be cheering for him is the next big question. Either way, I wish him the best of luck, and to all their Valorant pro players out there in the future, let's see how good this game can be. Until next time, drink your coffee, all right? I'll be back here soon.